From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
WT and the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum are parting ways. We'll tell you what happens next. And Potter County Commissioners, here are their future options to fix the county jail. We'll break down what was said. 93-year partnership comes to an end as West Texas A&M University and the Texas A&M system notified Panhandle Plains Historical Museum they are unable to provide long-term funding for the building. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jack Kessler. Politics Today's Maya Clark has details on what's next for PPHM.
Months ago, WT President Walter Wendler temporarily closed Panhandle Plains Historical Museum, citing ongoing safety issues. In a statement released today, WT officials say they've spent over $1 million to maintain PPHM, saying in part, quote, "Without external funding, the university does not have the resources to renovate or build a new museum facility that protects the public's health, safety, and welfare." Panhandle Plains Historical Society trustee Mark White sharing they know the building has problems and isn't safe to operate as a museum because it hasn't been maintained as required over the years, adding although the partnership is over, they are excited for the future.
We are actively looking for another safe storage space. We have lots of options.
White says as soon as they can get a new museum location, they'll be open for business as usual.
So what the community can do right now for us, of course, is we need their advocacy. We need their support, monetary support, but more than anything, we need them to have confidence that the board of the society is going to get this museum open again.
In the future, White says the community can expect a fundraising campaign to help get things going, saying although this door has closed, it was necessary and opened the doors for other good possibilities.
The next step after today is that we are setting meetings with other entities and institutions to talk about a long-term partnership with the museum.
White says the museum staff will remain employed as they are paid by the Panhandle Plains Historical Society. He says they're working to find storage for the artifacts, but for now they are being stored in the building on WT's campus. A system spokesperson said in part, quote, "Dedicating sufficient public resources to indefinitely maintain a facility that is unsafe is not responsible stewardship of system and taxpayer resources. Those funds should be used to educate the students of West Texas A&M University and to support the major economic development opportunities WT drives across the entire Panhandle region." To see our full interview and statements we received regarding the future of PPHM, go to our website, myhighplains.com. Potter County Commissioners Court getting an update on the Potter County Detention Center and how the county could fix the overcrowding. They were presented 3 options and told what the impact would be: do nothing, expand the current jail, or construct a new jail. If the commissioners were to do nothing, this would require the continued housing of inmates out of the county at a cost that could fluctuate. Currently, that cost exceeds $1 million per year and does not include transportation and medical. Additionally, the maintenance cost and need to update systems at the jail would increase as the current jail continues to age. If they expand the current jail, they are limited to 96 to 144 beds. Addition to the jail based on the physical space requirements and only one direction they can go. Systems in the jail will be required to be updated and will take 2.5 years to execute at a probable cost of $47 million. Now, TCJS in the November 2025 updated facility needs analysis recommended at a minimum the 624 beds should be considered for the Potter County Jail. It is recommended that if the county chooses to construct a new jail, there should be a total of 672 beds with a further consideration for 720 beds. To construct a jail of 672 beds, it will take 4 years and at a probable cost of $202 million. This report was presented by Ken Burns, CEO of Burns Architect LLC, who is focused on the county jail design. Potter County Judge Nancy Tanner says the jail report was disheartening. She says it hurts that they have to do that, but at some point a decision needs to be made. She adds that they have to look at it as the jail is full, as they have inmates farmed out to other counties, and it is costing Potter County a fortune.
Prefer a new one. We need new because, as you know, crime's not going to go down. It's only going to get worse. after I'm dead and gone, it's still going to get worse. So I think building a new one would be smart and wise and conducive to the taxpayer.
Potter County District Attorney Jason Herring also spoke on the recently passed Senate Bill 9, which addresses the release on bail of habitual and violent offenders. Now, Tanner says that they will probably have a decision in the next 3 to 6 months on how to move forward. Potter County Commissioner Precinct 3 John Coffey says that they still have to figure out how to pay for it. He says that they can pay for it with certificates of obligation or a bond election, and he says he would favor a bond election just because the citizens get to vote. Randall County Republican chairman has entered a plea agreement for an attempted election fraud. Kelly Giles pled guilty. He was sentenced to 6 months of deferred adjudication, community supervision, a fine, and 25 hours of community service. Back in July, Giles was indicted for reportedly certifying that his application and nominating petition was legally compliant when he ran in 2024 for the party chair. Fermi America inks a deal with Xcel, plus the community spoke to Fermi and TCEQ about air quality, and the public meeting regarding a racing track and casino coming to Clovis is postponed. We'll explain why. Fermi America announces an electric service agreement with a subsidiary of Xcel Energy has been reached. It's for up to 200 megawatts of electrical capacity. Fermi reported that the subsidiary will begin delivering 86 megawatts in 2026 and eventually ramp up to 200. Fermi has said in the past that they would use local electrical resources until their own is built and then run on their own grid. A panel of people from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and Fermi America recently hosted a public meeting. It was to answer questions and get comments on Fermi's air quality permit applications. TCEQ has reportedly evaluated air contaminants and determined emissions from Fermi wouldn't violate any federal or state regulations. And ahead of that public meeting, we got the chance to sit down with Fermi's consultant who did the research and helped put together the permit application. Politics Today's Maya Clark has that interview.
Big concern for some people is what's going to happen to the air quality, and so with any new facility coming in, there's a question of what pollutants are going to be there. And so from your research and what you've done working with Fermi as a consultant, what are some pollutants that are just inevitable and going to be a part of this?
Well, we're going to fire natural gas, and natural gas has very few pollutants, but one of them is nitrogen dioxide. And what we found by modeling where the pollutants are going to go from the facility is that almost nobody will be affected around the plant. You can live around the plant and there won't be any real effect. And part of the reason for that is the wind blows a lot from the south and from the north, and most of the people live east and west. And because the wind blows so hard from the south and the north, the pollutants are spread way beyond the area that people live. And so we don't expect any problems with the air quality. And that's what we demonstrated to the Texas Commission. And they're going to hear comments from the public about it.
Perfect. And so from that demonstration that you guys, walk through to kind of get this information of, see, it's going to be minimal impact to the people. What did that demonstration entail to kind of get that data and be able to present it to TCEQ?
Well, we take the emissions that are forecast, and importantly, Fermi is going to make the best controls, put the best controls on the emissions that are going to be coming out so that very little comes out. And we modeled them in a model that's approved by EPA and by the state of Texas, and determine what the concentrations outside the fence line of the facility are going to be. And that's the basis of the permit, to say we meet all the requirements at the fence line. And in fact, the concentrations are quite low. For the most part, we do not contribute any more than 25% of the standards, even just at the fence line. And of course, a lot less as you go further downwind.
Perfect. And so, why are these contaminants necessary to run an AI data center?
Because we need power. The data center needs power. And so we have combustion turbines to produce the power. So because we can buy natural gas and use combustion turbines now, before we may switch to other fuels later on. But combustion turbines are the ticket right now, and burning natural gas, which is virtually pollutant-free.
And so you've kind of touched on this, but do you think that this is a safe investment for the Texas Panhandle, and if so, why?
Yes, I think from the air quality point of view, it's a safe investment because it's not going to ruin the air quality in the Amarillo area or in the county.
And so a big part of this, there's going to be a lot of people out there at this meeting. This has been a big topic of conversation. And so is there anything that, you think will be beneficial for people to know about, the pollutants that are going to be in the air that are inevitable that, Fermi is working to make sure that it's not this big thing that's impacting people in a negative way?
Well, I think the concentrations that we've modeled say that the impact is going to be minimal even at the fence line. And so people who live further away would even have less of an impact. So I don't think anybody's going to notice that it's there.
Perfect.
Except to see it.
Yeah. And so, this is a big thing. And for people who, maybe they're still on the fence about it, what, I guess, is your hope that when they come out to the meeting, they'll at least just come, with questions that hopefully you guys can answer and kind of come in with an open mind to it?
The TCEQ is going to answer most of the questions. That's what it's there for. But we'll help them if they need any help.
No word yet on when TCEQ could issue a decision on the application. The decision on whether to bring a racetrack and casino to Clovis is delayed. The New Mexico Racing Commission's director says Sunray Park and Casino is amending their application for relocating. He says they have notified the tribes involved. They're also postponing a scheduled public meeting on the 22nd. The commission says the tribes need 45 days to review the amended application, and a public meeting might take place in February. For our previous reporting on this project and its impact on Clovis, you can head to our website, myhighplains.com. Several key funding decisions were on the Amarillo City Council's agenda, including new bond approvals and start of a notice for major park and utility projects. Politics Today's Blas Gurro has details on what the council moved forward.
One of the major items on the City Council agenda was an update on the city's plan to issue $6 million in water and sewage revenue bonds for the new water line project on the northwest side of Amarillo. Officials say the extension will form on the north side of Amarillo, opening service for future development and help stabilize water pressure in surrounding neighborhoods.
So we're a water seller, and part of this investment is us seeing the return on the investment to borrow the money to put in the water and sewer line extensions. They're going to reach out to around 1,500 houses just in one development.
The council also heard from financial advisors that the utility has a strong revenue coverage and the project is fully funded by customer rates.
Which $50 million in net revenues to pay just a little over $30 million in debt service. The city has a lot of capacity, which it will need. I believe both Crimois and the city have some pretty significant required capital improvements over the next few years.
The City Council voted 5-0, approving the certificates of obligation. In the second unanimous vote, the City Council approved the first steps in issuing up $30 million in additional certificates of obligation for street resurfacing and park improvements.
One was various street resurfacing for $12 million, one for annual artillery reconstruction from the 24-25 plan, and then one for annual artillery construction of $8,260,000.
The vote clears the way for several major projects, from improving water pressure to rebuilding key streets and adding new park amenities. Public notices will be published this month on the city's website with a potential bond sale set for February. This allows the city to move forward on street resurfacing and park upgrades. Wonderland Park will soon have new owners. We'll hear from the family about a recent lease agreement and how they chose who to take over. On Tuesday, Amarillo City Council approved a lease agreement for Wonderland Park in a 5-0 vote. With the agreement, the Borghardt family will release ownership to 360 Parks Amarillo, LLC. Politics Today's Maya Clark has that story.
The Park Department manager he said, why don't you set up some rides and we'll do a percentage rent for you. And that's how it started in 1951.
74 years later, the Borghardt family is passing the torch. According to city officials and the agreement, the city will receive $130,000 in revenue in the initial 15 years, with a chance to renew after the initial lease agreement, meaning the city could earn $430,000 in total revenue. For the Burkharts, finding the right people to take over was a top priority.
They wanted to preserve this attitude that we have. We have a very limited market of 200,000 people, but we cover an area that's around 300 square miles. So we have something that's unique.
Rebecca Parker, Burkhart's daughter and the park's controller and secretary, grew up with Wonderland and says this sale wouldn't have been possible without the community's support.
We started with 3 rides and have 32 now. We wouldn't have been attractive to a buyer if the community hadn't helped and supported us all this time.
A key reason for the sale is because Paul and Paula are aging. The family hopes this sale will allow them to spend more time with family in peace.
Able to do things with their grandchildren and great-grandchildren that they haven't been able to do in the past.
Burkhart hopes that once the new owners take over, they'll continue Wonderland's mission.
Safety, maintenance, and providing the entertainment for the people.
Parker anticipates that she'll stay on for a little to help with the transition. Burkhart says although they are older, what keeps him young is the people coming through. Well, the city of Amarillo closed 2 local pools. That was up for discussion during the council meeting. No decision was made, but at least 2 council members seem to agree that the southeast and southwest pools should be closed. A presentation was given regarding how much the pools cost to operate and maintain versus how much revenue they bring to the city. There were concerns about still providing options to the people in those areas. It's a program to help the youngest Americans. Those stories are next. Texas unemployment drops 0.3% between August and September, according to the Texas Workforce Commission. Unemployment rates are down from 4.7 to 4.4% for the state. Looking at cities, Amarillo and Midland are tied at the lowest rates of 3.3%, and Lubbock is sitting at 3.7%. Congressman Ronnie Jackson is celebrating area wins in the passing of the defense bill in the U.S. House. It is now heading to the Senate. Jackson says there are many wins, including a measure to speed up the delivery of the MV-75 future long-range assault aircraft with the industrial base at Bell Helicopter. The $900 billion bill also includes pay raises for troops and changes the way the U.S. buys weapons. A program aimed at helping American children gets a financial head start just received a big donation. American businessman Michael Dell joining the president at the White House recently to announce a gift for qualifying children ages 10 and under. News Nation chief Washington correspondent and host of The Hill, Blake Berman, breaks down how the new development could end up impacting your children.
Money heading into kids' accounts. I'm Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation. Starting next July, every child under 18 will be eligible for an investment account to save for the future. A provision passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act allows babies born between 2025 and 2028 to get a $1,000 deposit from the government into their accounts. Parents or other custodians can contribute up to $5,000 into the accounts each year. At the White House, the American entrepreneur Michael Dell announcing a $6.25 billion gift to help more children get a head start. Qualifying children ages 10 years and under can get $250 directly into their accounts. Dell estimates that 25 million kids across the country could qualify across 75% of U.S. zip codes. Dell says he believes more philanthropists could give as well, potentially growing the program. I'm Blake Berman, and this is the News Nation Political Minute.
You can also find more news and analysis from Blake and his colleagues 24/7 on News Nation. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com. We'll wrap up politics today after this. With the midterm elections right around the corner, another Texas state representative is announcing their re-election campaign. So let's talk about what happened. Earlier this week, State Representative Caroline Fairley announced that she will be seeking re-election for House District 87 with the backing of President Trump, Governor Greg Abbott, and Senator Cruz. During this past legislative session, Fairley assisted and supported a number of legislations that passed both the House and the Senate. Reminder that the last day to register to vote for the midterm elections is February 2nd. You can stay up to on the latest political news with us this week. We have continuing coverage on our website, myhighpoints.com. You can also check us out on Alexa Instagram, and like us on Facebook. I'm Jack Kessler, and again, this is Politics Today.